What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In this video, I actually want to talk about if Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer or not. As you know, Matt Ryan did surpass Warren Moon, 10th all-time in passing yards. So shout out to Matt Ryan. Congrats to him. He's just going to continue to move higher and higher on that list. And he could possibly end off his career as possibly the #1 leader in passing yards if he plays long enough. But personally, I believe that Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. You can leave a comment down below if you feel like Matt Ryan is or isn't a Hall of Famer. I believe he definitely is a Hall of Famer. Basically, even if he doesn't play another snap, I believe that it's cemented that Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. I've been seeing a lot of things coming out of the media talking about if Matt Ryan wins a Super Bowl, then he will be a Hall of Famer. And I disagree with that statement. I feel like even without a Super Bowl, just with his one Super Bowl appearance, I feel like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And the reason I say that, personally, I believe that Matt Ryan should already have a Super Bowl ring, which was in 2016 when we lost to the New England Patriots. A lot of people talk about Matt Ryan and the Falcons blowing that 28-3 lead, and they put that on Matt Ryan. I don't put none of that loss on Matt Ryan. You hear a lot of people saying, you know, if we would have just ran the ball, which we could have just ran the ball, kicked the field goal, the game would have been over, basically. The New England wouldn't have been able to come back. So when that statement is made, I put that on coaching. I don't put that on Matt Ryan. A lot of people talked about Matt Ryan should have audibled out of the play, but what a lot of people are not realizing is Matt Ryan said he didn't have the ability to audible because Kyle Shanahan, the way that their offense was set up, Kyle Shanahan didn't allow audibles to be made at the line of scrimmage. So once whatever personnel was put out on the field, Matt Ryan and those group of guys that was out there on the field had to go with it. They couldn't run the ball. So that's my thing about people that says Matt Ryan should have just audible. It's his fault. He should have audibled and ran the ball. Basically, Matt Ryan did what they had done all season that got them to the Super Bowl. He basically went with the call that was sent in by Kyle Shanahan, which everybody talks about Kyle Shanahan being a genius and all of that. But in the most opportune moment when we could have had a Super Bowl ring, he decided to throw the ball. Well, Matt Ryan had already led the team down into scoring position, made a clutch pass to Julio Jones on the sideline. He was basically tight roping the sideline. Matt Ryan made a perfect throw to Julio Jones to get us into field goal range. And what did Shanahan do? Kyle Shanahan called for us to try to throw the ball for no apparent reason. We was already winning the game. And Matt Ryan was sacked and we were knocked out of field goal position. So we had to punt the ball back to New England. So all of those big Kyle Shanahan fans, the 49er fans out there, I just hope that Kyle Shanahan doesn't screw you guys over like he screwed over Atlanta in the biggest game of the Falcons franchise history. So anybody that wants to put that loss on Matt Ryan, I disagree with you. If you go look back, I pulled the stats up right here. In the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan threw for 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 1 fumble. And we all know that fumble that he was hit from his blind side when Devontae Freeman went out for a pass instead of staying in to block Dante Hightower, who came in with the strip sack fumble when Matt Ryan tried to throw the ball downfield. So if you want to put that 1 turnover on Matt Ryan, so be it. But he had a passer rating in that game of over 100. And let me remind you guys, in that same game that people give Tom Brady all of the credit in the world for winning the game, he threw a pick 6 to Robert Alford in that game, which is a huge mistake to make on that stage in the Super Bowl, to throw a pick 6. And to be honest, Robert Alford could have possibly had 2 picks because Robert Alford also dropped the pick in that Super Bowl when that pass was batted up in the air. And all of those Atlanta Falcons players were around Julian Edelman, and he somehow came down with the ball. And that was when Robert Alford basically undercut that slant pattern, and he possibly could have had his 2nd interception of the game. So I don't care what nobody says. In that game, that Super Bowl, that Super Bowl didn't come down to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan didn't lose that game for us. Matt Ryan actually put the team in position to win the game, but the coaches basically took the game from the Atlanta Falcons. And I blame it on Dan Quinn, and I blame it on mainly Kyle Shanahan because he was the offensive coordinator, but I blame Dan Quinn because he should have called timeout when he heard the play call come in and decided to run the ball, because you play by percentages in that situation. When you win in the game by 7 and you're in field goal range, you don't throw the ball, because at that time in that Super Bowl, basically all we had to do was run the ball, drain more clock, because New England at that point was facing, battling the clock. They weren't fighting the Falcons anymore. They were basically fighting the clock because there was not enough time in the game. They were running out of time. If we would have just go ahead and kicked that field goal, that would have put us up by 2 possessions, and it was really no way that New England was going to come back and win that game. So, and I looked at the statistics, and at the time when we were in field goal or in position, it was a 99.9% chance that the Atlanta Falcons was going to win that game. So I put all of that on coaching. None of that lands on the head of Matt Ryan in that situation. So all of those who want to try to use that as a reason of why Matt Ryan isn't a Hall of Famer, that's not a good statistic or one game you shouldn't go by, because Matt Ryan didn't lose that Super Bowl. He actually played great in that Super Bowl, played well in that Super Bowl. Another reason I say Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer is, like I just mentioned, he's top 10 all-time in passing yards, which is not easy to do. And a lot of the guys that he's passing, moving past on that list, is in the Hall of Fame. Warren Moon is a Hall of Famer already. So a lot of these, Dan Marino, I hear, like, when people want to bring up Super Bowls, Dan Marino was one of the best quarterbacks ever in the NFL history. He doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. It was a lot of great quarterbacks. Jim Kelly for the Buffalo Bills. He never won a Super Bowl. He was a great quarterback. He actually played in 4 Super Bowls. So if you want to use that as a reason to keep someone out, Jim Kelly was right at the end and couldn't get his team over the hump. And that's why I keep trying to tell people that Super Bowls is a team accomplishment. It's not one player that can get you to a Super Bowl or win you a Super Bowl. A Super Bowl, you need all 3 phases: a decent offense, a good defense, and a good special teams and good coaching. You need all of that to win a Super Bowl. It doesn't just come down to a good quarterback, a good running back. One player can't get you to a Super Bowl, or one player can't win a Super Bowl. Football is the ultimate team game. You need everybody functioning at a high level to win a Super Bowl. But what I can say is great players like a Matt Ryan will get you close enough to where you could possibly win a Super Bowl. Like, he got the Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl. And also in 2012, if you remember, all of those people that want to say Kyle Shanahan made Matt Ryan, it's not true, because the current OC of the Atlanta Falcons right now is Dirk Cutter. And he's came back, but he was the same OC that we had in 2012 when the Atlanta Falcons were in the NFC Championship game. And in that NFC Championship game, I believe we were up 21-0 or something like that at halftime. It was something crazy. But we definitely jumped. I know we jumped out to a 21-point lead, and that was because of Matt Ryan and great play calling. And what let the Atlanta Falcons down in that NFC Championship game against the 49ers? It was the defense. The defense couldn't stop the 49ers. We got that 21-point lead, and for any solid defense, if you get a 21-point lead, they should be able to sustain that 21-point lead. Even if it's early in the game, they should be able to sustain that. So I don't put that game on Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan has got us near the promised land a couple times and almost crossed the tape. I mean, in that Super Bowl, like I mentioned, we lost in overtime. So all of these games, Matt Ryan has got us there. When he first came to the league, he had 5 consecutive winning seasons. I think the biggest issue when it comes to Matt Ryan is he's just not really flashy. When you look at Matt Ryan, he's your prototypical pocket passer. But if you go back and look at some tape, when Matt Ryan in his rookie season, 2008, if you go on YouTube and pull it up, or go on your computer on your phone and pull up Tony Dungy talking about Matt Ryan in 2008, He said that Matt Ryan reminded him of a young Peyton Manning. He put him in the mind of Peyton Manning. The accuracy, the anticipation of him throwing the football, him throwing with velocity, tight spirals, strong arm, great quarterback above the neck up, meaning a very smart quarterback, a very cerebral player. And that's Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, when you watch Matt Ryan play, that's what he should put you in the mind of. He should put you in the mind of Peyton Manning, just a little bit more mobile, because Peyton Manning was not mobile at all. Matt Ryan is actually a little bit mobile, where he can roll out the pocket and he can throw. But Matt Ryan is not known for running. He's your prototypical pocket passer. He's a great pocket passer. And I don't know, like I said, what the, why Matt Ryan gets so much hate from Atlanta fans and from fans in general and from the media, because I feel like Matt Ryan has done nothing but ball for this team. He has a ton of comeback wins. If you go look up how many fourth quarter comebacks Matt Ryan has, he has a ton of fourth quarter comebacks, and that's the reason he got the name Matty Ice. He's won so many games, where getting the team in field goal range, where Matt Bryant hit a bunch of key field goals to win games for us. He's drove us down and thrown touchdown passes to win games. So I'm not too sure what the hate is, why people hate on Matt Ryan. I just think that he's not as flashy as like Michael Vick, because I remember when Michael Vick was playing for the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Vick is probably one of my all-time favorite, other than Deion Sanders and Julio Jones. Michael Vick is like one of my favorite all-time Falcons. I grew up in the same area, in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, where Michael Vick is from, Newport News, Virginia. And I grew up watching him playing for Virginia Tech. Him in that area, him and Allen Iverson were two of my favorite athletes growing up. And I'm probably the biggest Michael Vick fan you'll ever see. But even I know that when Matt Ryan took us to the Super Bowl, he's done more. Even I know that Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Michael Vick, meaning in franchise history. Michael Vick eventually became a better pocket passer when he went to the Philadelphia Eagles after he got out of prison, and he made himself a better quarterback, a better pocket passer, and he just was more electrifying. And that's why I think people get twisted. When they watch Matt Ryan, he's not really going to electrify you with his speed or his athleticism. But when it comes to making reads, being able to read a defense, being able to go no huddle and call his own plays and things of that nature, being able to audible out of plays, Matt Ryan is who I would want under center when it comes to that. So to me, it's no question that he's the best all-time Falcons quarterback. And to me, he's definitely probably one of the top 20 quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. Top 15, top 20 NFL quarterback all time. And his numbers bear it out. If you go look at Matt Ryan's numbers, I pulled it up. His overall QBR is 95 for his career. And I basically pulled up two players that I wanted to kind of compare Matt Ryan to. And usually when you get drafted, they pair you up with somebody that was drafted in the same draft with you. And a person that I paired him up with, and most people paired him up with when they were drafted, was Joe Flacco, that played with who was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. He was drafted as the 18th pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Matt Ryan was drafted 3rd overall to Atlanta, both drafted in 2008. As you know, Joe Flacco did win a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens. But I looked up their career stats to compare the stats, because I tell people all the time, just like I was just saying previously, you can't just look at Super Bowl trophies, because it takes a team to win a Super Bowl. If you don't have a Super Bowl, it doesn't mean you're not a better quarterback. And I'm gonna give you a few examples. But first, before I do that, in the case of the Ravens, you got to remember when Joe Flacco went on that great Super Bowl run, he was playing with Ray Lewis, who's a Hall of Famer. He was playing with Ed Reed, who recently just got in the Hall of Fame last year. He was playing with Terrell Suggs, a future Hall of Famer, on the defensive line. So if you think about that, the Ravens had 3 Hall of Fame players on each level of their defense. They had Ed Reed in the secondary. They had Ray Lewis in the on the second level with the linebackers, and they had Terrell Suggs on the defensive line. So on all three levels, they had Hall of Fame players, and they had an excellent defense. So when you look at the Ravens, I say if you ever put Matt Ryan on a team, Matt Ryan has never played for an Atlanta Falcons team that had multiple Hall of Famers on the defense. I don't even think that Matt Ryan has played with any Hall of Famers. The only player that I can say that possibly on the defensive side of the ball that Matt Ryan that has played on a team with Matt Ryan that may make the Hall of Fame or is Hall of Fame worthy is Dwight Freeney. And he played with Dwight Freeney for one season. That was 2016 when we went to the Super Bowl. And he was brought onto the team like in mid-season. And this was an older Dwight Freeney. This wasn't the prime Dwight Freeney that played with the Indianapolis Colts for years and years and years. This was the older Dwight Freeney, like in his 30s. And that was his last season playing in the league, I believe. Or he may have played like one more season after that. But Matt Ryan has never had a Hall of Fame defenders or a Hall of Fame or top 10 like a lockdown defense. You may go and look at the stats because I was debating this with my one of my cousins, and he was saying that Matt Ryan has had a few top 10 defenses. Even if he has, none of the defenses that Matt Ryan has had has ever been as good as that Ravens defense that Joe Flacco had. And Joe Flacco was playing with that Ravens team for a while. Ray Lewis was there for a while before they won that Super Bowl. But he had a Hall of Fame defense all the way around. It wasn't just one player. He had a Hall of Famers on every single level. And Matt Ryan, we can never say that for Matt Ryan. He hasn't never had a lockdown defense. He's had average defenses, and majority of his career, he's had below average defenses. But let's get into these numbers that I wanted to give you guys. Joe Flacco, passing yards, 40,067 passing yards in his career. Matt Ryan, 49,383 passing yards. So Matt Ryan has 9,000 more passing yards than Joe Flacco. Another thing that you have to look at with Joe Flacco, Matt Ryan is still with the team that drafted him. Joe Flacco was recently released, and he was actually picked up by the Denver Broncos. After winning that Super Bowl, Joe Flacco was the highest paid quarterback. He signed that big contract with the Baltimore Ravens after winning the Super Bowl that year when Ray Lewis retired. After Ray Lewis retired, he signed that big contract. And after receiving that contract, he never lived up to it. He got that $100 million contract, and he never lived up to it. On the other hand, Matt Ryan has signed two separate $100 million contracts with the Atlanta Falcons. He had his original contract when he was a rookie. Then he got his $100 million contract after his rookie deal. And then he just recently, last year, signed another $100+ million contract. And what I tell people to look at is you need to look at consistency. Matt Ryan has been consistent over his tenure with the Falcons, and a consistent quality above average quarterback since he's been in the league. Touchdown passes. Joe Flacco, 218 touchdown passes. Matt Ryan, 313 touchdown passes. So he almost has 100 more touchdown passes than Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, interceptions, 141 interceptions career. Matt Ryan, 142 interceptions career. So they're around the same, but you have to look at touchdown and interception ratio. Matt Ryan is throwing 100 more touchdowns than Joe Flacco, and they both have around the same amount of interceptions, meaning Matt Ryan's interception ratio to touchdown ratio is much better than Joe Flacco's. Joe Flacco's QBR for over his career, 84.1, which is average. Matt Ryan, 95 QBR for a career, which is great. Then I put down sacks. How many times they've been sacked? Joe Flacco's been sacked, it says in his career, 359 times. Matt Ryan has been sacked 344 times in his career. So both of them been sacked around the same amount of times. But if you go I looked at both of their career stats. year by year to see how many interceptions and touchdown, like the interception to touchdown ratio. And Matt Ryan has a much better touchdown to interception ratio. And if you just watch players play, like the eye test, I like to do the eye test when I watch players. I don't just look at stats. I'll actually watch players play. If you haven't seen Joe Flacco play this season, I'm telling you, it's not good. Denver is not good for a reason. And Joe Flacco, he was let go last year by the Ravens, and he lost his job to Lamar Jackson for a reason. Because if you look at how Lamar Jackson is taking the league by storm with this pretty much the same team that Joe Flacco was playing with, and the Ravens has always had a great defense. Always had a great defense. So them regressing, meaning the Ravens regressing on offense, had everything to do with Joe Flacco being an under average quarterback, or being a below average quarterback. Joe Flacco had that one flash in the pan season, or that one playoff run where he was great. But anybody can do that one time. He was a one-hit wonder. And for example, it's just like what happened in Philly. If you think about the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Foles and with Carson Wentz, I keep telling people, everybody asks me, my brothers, we've debated this. I've debated this with Philadelphia Eagles fans. I've debated this with just random football fans. A lot of people were saying that Nick Foles was a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. And I was like, it's not true. Just because Nick Foles had that one season, that one flash in the pan, good playoff run, doesn't make Nick Foles a Hall of Fame quarterback, or doesn't make Nick Foles better than Carson Wentz. If you go look at those guys' numbers and match them up, or if you look at the eye test, when you watch Carson Wentz play and you watch Nick Foles play, I've seen Nick Foles play. Nick Foles lost his job for the Eagles for a reason. Nick Foles took over as a starting quarterback when Michael Vick got hurt, and they kept him as a starting quarterback. And he was the starter in the league with the Eagles for like a season or two, and he didn't look good. He lost his job for a reason. They got rid of him for a reason. Then he went to the Rams, and he didn't play well for the Rams either. And then he came back to Philly as a backup for a reason. So I keep telling people, don't just look at, a playoff run and say, well, this player is better than that player. I totally disagree with that. If you look at Nick Foles now, he's playing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's not doing too hot. They're not winning a lot of games like he was winning in Philly. But the reason he's not winning is because Philly was a good team when they won the Super Bowl. It wasn't just about Nick Foles. It was about they had a great defense. Their offensive coordinator and Doug Peterson, the head coach, put him in great positions to win. If you look at before Carson Wentz got injured, he was playing like a MVP quarterback. I'm looking at this season at Carson Wentz, and I feel like a lot of people are saying Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz. And I feel like personally still, I'm on the Carson Wentz bandwagon. I feel like Carson Wentz, he still has a lot to prove. But I feel like what I've seen out of Carson Wentz in that season when he was about to win the MVP before he got injured, he actually had weapons. If you watch Carson Wentz against the Patriots last week, I didn't see a quarterback that's regressed. What I saw is a quarterback that has no weapons. If you look at the Eagles' offense this year, he has no receivers other than Nelson Aguilar. On Sunday, Alshon Jeffrey was hurt. Deshaun Jackson's been hurt all season, and now he's been placed on IR. So he's out there playing with rookie guys, Arcega-Whiteside, Mac Hollins, dudes we've never heard of. So I feel like it's easy to point at when a quarterback is not playing well and say, well, this is the reason why this quarterback's not playing well, because he's not a good quarterback. No, the issue is he doesn't have the weapons to be able to be successful. He doesn't have the same offensive coordinator, because the offensive coordinator, when they won the Super Bowl, got a head coaching job. Frank Reich now is coaching the Indianapolis Colts. He's their head coach now. But Frank Reich, if you don't know, was a longtime quarterback in the league. He played with the Buffalo Bills. He was a backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, and he was a good quarterback, a decent quarterback when he played in the league. And he's a great offensive mind. He draws up great plays. And like I said, if you go back and look at that year that the Eagles won that Super Bowl with Nick Foles, a lot of the stuff that they did was molded for him to manage games. I can tell you because I know, because I watched the game in the divisional round when the Falcons played the Eagles in Philadelphia. They barely beat us, and Nick Foles didn't play well in that game. It came down to us being on the goal line trying to score, and we didn't come away with a score because it was not good plays drawn up by Steve Sarkisian, who was our offensive coordinator at the time. He ran some terrible plays down on the goal line, which cost the Atlanta Falcons that game. But let's get back at the task at hand. Why I believe that Matt Ryan should be in the Hall of Fame. Another thing that you want to look at, achievements. Matt Ryan has been an MVP in the league. That's not easy, winning an MVP. You have to be a great player to win an MVP. I don't know no players that has won an NFL MVP and haven't been a great player just by themselves. If you think back at the last couple of players that have won the NFL MVP, you got Tom Brady that's won a bunch of them. You got Matt Ryan that's won. Over the years, if you just think back, you got Peyton Manning that's won a ton of them. Most of the players that win the NFL MVP, you have to be a great individual player. Has nothing to do with whoever your offensive coordinator is. Has nothing to do with whoever your defensive coordinator is. Has nothing to do with any of that. Majority of the time, you have to be a solid player on your own. You have to be a great player on your own to win that, to be able to win that award. It's almost like winning a Heisman Trophy in college. You can't just be an average player in college to win the Heisman Trophy. You have to be a great player. And it doesn't have anything to do with guys around you. You have to be an individual good player to win the MVP, because that means you were the best player in the league. Just like the same with the Heisman. That means you're the best college player in that, or you're voted to be the best college player in that particular season. Like a Reggie Bush when he won that trophy. Guys like that. So if you go look down the list of guys that's won NFL MVPs, every single player that's won an NFL MVP was a great player by themselves. It has nothing to do with their team. They individually was a great player, and that's Matt Ryan. I feel like a lot of times when it comes up to Matt Ryan's MVP trophy, everybody wants to tie in, well, he had Kyle Shanahan. Like I said before, he got to the NFC Championship game and had a 21-point lead without Kyle Shanahan. And he's had plenty of other winning seasons. The year I was talking about when we lost in the divisional round was the year after we went to the Super Bowl, 2017. And everybody was saying the Falcons are going to have a hangover, Super Bowl hangover. And we end up getting back to the playoffs. We went to L.A. in that game, the wild card game in L.A. on the road, and we beat them. Then we went up to Philadelphia to face them in the divisional round, and that's when we lost that game. I believe we lost that game by less than a touchdown. So, like I said, in that year, we didn't have Kyle Shanahan. We still had a successful season. I think we were 10-6 in that season. And that was with Steve Sarkisian, the first-time offensive coordinator in the NFL. So that goes to show you that Matt Ryan has been a great quarterback. He was a great quarterback before Shanahan. He's been a great quarterback after Shanahan. Any offensive coordinator we brung in, Matt Ryan has adjusted to whoever that system is or whoever that coach is. And that's why Matt Ryan is a great player. Now, another thing I want to address really quick, because another quarterback that keeps coming up when I debate with my cousins or when I debate with random fans. I have a lot of family member and friends that are Dallas Cowboys fans. And the first player that they always throw out when I bring up Matt Ryan, they always throw out Tony Romo is better than Matt Ryan. And I keep telling them, I don't know what the narrative is or why people continue to disrespect Matt Ryan's name and spew that blasphemy out that Tony Romo is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan. I went and looked up Tony Romo's numbers. I'm going to give you guys Tony Romo's numbers for a career. For one, Matt Ryan has played 12 seasons in the league. Tony Romo only played 10 seasons for the Dallas Cowboys. But let's give you Tony Romo's career stats. Passing yards. I told you Matt Ryan was 49,000 plus. Tony Romo's career passing yards, 34,183 yards. Matt Ryan has that. Total touchdown passes. Matt Ryan, 313. Tony Romo, 248 touchdowns. Interceptions, 117 interceptions for Tony Romo. A quarterback rating of 97.1. Sacks, he was sacked 248 times in his career. Now, the reason I keep telling people that Tony Romo is saying that he's better than Matt Ryan is blasphemous, or you need to be drug tested, is because if you watch Tony Romo's career, if you watched any of the games that he played, the big games that he played in, I was just debating this with my cousin on Facebook, but I told him I was going to do a video. If you looked at Tony Romo's career, all I think about is Tony Romo made crucial mistakes in the biggest moments. And I would know because I watched pretty much every single game, that big game that Tony Romo played in. Why did I watch pretty much every big game that Tony Romo played in? Is because my wife's a Dallas Cowboys fan. And I told you guys, I like to watch football. I watch a lot of football, not just Atlanta Falcons. I'm not blasphemous when it comes to saying that somebody's better than the other. Even if it's Matt Ryan, if it's somebody that's I feel is better than Matt Ryan, I'm going to say that quarterback is better based off of his numbers, based off of watching him, based off of his career. But all of this, Tony Romo is better than Matt Ryan. His numbers are not better. His career high points are not better. I was just talking to my cousin about this. Tony Romo, 3 years in a row, the Cowboys were 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. And each one of those seasons came down to the last game for the Dallas Cowboys to get in the playoffs or to miss the playoffs. They lost all three. And I know for sure because I can't remember how every single game ended for the first two games for the three seasons they went 8-8. I don't remember exactly which game it was out of those 3 seasons when they went 8-8. But I know for sure the year that they faced the Redskins, because what made it so dumb or what made it so funny about the Cowboys, and this is why Stephen A. Smith always trolls the Cowboys, the years that they went 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, and it was the last game that they could make the playoffs, they lost to all 3 division opponents, meaning in the NFC East, they lost to the Cowboys. The Cowboys lost to the Redskins one year, and I know for one, the year they faced the Redskins, and it was the game for them to make the playoffs or miss the playoffs and win the division. Tony Romo threw a bad interception in the flats to a cornerback. I think it was either a cornerback or a linebacker. He threw the ball directly to him out in the flats, which lost the game for them. But in all 3 of those seasons where they went 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, and they lost all 3 years, they lost the division, and they didn't make the playoffs, it was mainly Tony Romo's fault. They lost to the Eagles one year, they lost to the Redskins one year, and they lost to the Giants one year to miss the playoffs. And y'all want to compare Tony Romo to Matt Ryan? Come on. If you look at any big game, I told my cousin, the one game where Tony Romo played against the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs, and they were trying to win the game by kicking a field goal, and Tony Romo botched the snap and tried to pick it up and run and got tackled short of the goal line. That was another game, another big moment in Tony Romo's career where he made a big mistake. Most games when the Cowboys lost in Tony Romo's career, the big games that he played in, which it wasn't many because he was not that good. He was just an average quarterback. I keep telling people, it's a lot of reasons that I say Tony Romo is not a better quarterback. The main reason I say that Tony Romo is not a good quarterback or he was just an average quarterback at best is because, for one, he never got to any big games. He never played in the Super Bowl. He never played in the NFC Championship game. And I don't want to hear anybody whining about, well, that one play where Dez Bryant caught the ball, that was a catch. It wasn't. That's the rules. That was the rules. That he did try to slam the ball over the goal line or whatever he was trying to do, and the ball came loose. That's Dez Bryant's problem. That's not Tony Romo. That's no excuse. That was no guarantee that the Cowboys was going to win that game. That was not the final seconds of that game. Green Bay still got the ball back after that play. So everybody acts like that would have been the game. If they would have gave that touchdown to Dez Bryant, that was the game. They sound just as bad as these Saints fans last year when they lost to the Rams about they cheated us out of going to the Super Bowl. No, they didn't. the Saints was not cheated out of that game, because the reason I said that they weren't cheated out of that game, because they got a chance in overtime to right the wrong. Meaning they got the chance, they got the ball first in overtime, Drew Brees threw a pick, and then the Rams went down, kicked the field goal, and the game was over. So the refs didn't decide that game in the NFC Championship last year. The Saints didn't seize the moment, period. It's the same thing with the Cowboys. Des Bryant and the Cowboys and Tony Romo didn't seize the moment. When he tried to slam the ball over the goal line or whatever he was trying to do, he didn't maintain the catch. And that's a part of the NFL rule book, because bad calls happen to everybody. The Falcons, we can cry about not making the Super Bowl in 2012, because if you go back and watch the last play on offense for the Atlanta Falcons when we were on the goal line in 2012, and Matt Ryan tried to throw the ball to Roddy White, and Navarro Bowman had blatant pass interference, and they didn't call anything. I didn't hear no Atlanta Falcons fans crying like those Saints fans was crying last year, writing up petitions and doing all this extra stuff. All we said was we didn't seize the moment. We shouldn't have never let the game come down to that. Point blank in the period. We know that we got screwed over by the refs. We know that it was no way that that call was not made in that particular situation. Because if you go back and watch the play, Navarro Bowman definitely held Roddy White. He didn't allow him to try to reach out and catch the ball, which was blatant pass interference. It would have made it 1st and 10 from the 1 yard line. Or it would have made actually 1st and goal from the 1 yard line. So, like I said, all of these players that get brung up, Tony Romo especially, gets on my nerves, because, like I tell people, Tony Romo did never do anything that Matt Ryan has done. He doesn't have none of the accolades that Matt Ryan has. Matt Ryan has played in the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan has played in 2 NFC Championship games and won one. Matt Ryan has an NFL MVP. Tony Romo doesn't have any of those things. Tony Romo never won an MVP. Tony Romo never played in a Super Bowl. Tony Romo doesn't have better stats than Matt Ryan. Tony Romo was not as healthy as Matt Ryan, because another thing that I factor into when I'm looking at a player who's better, who would I rather have playing for my team, if you think about it, Tony Romo played only 10 seasons, but two of the last 3 seasons that he played in, he was injured. He broke his collarbone twice back-to-back in back-to-back years, and he hurt his back. So he only played 10 seasons, so he was not even durable. Matt Ryan's durable. Matt Ryan hasn't had, knock on wood, any season-ending injuries. Matt Ryan hasn't had any serious injuries. And one of the best abilities is availability. If you're not available, then I can't use you. So Matt Ryan, to me, in all areas, all facets of the game, to me, Tony Romo is in no facet do I see Tony Romo being better than Matt Ryan. The only debate you possibly can have with Tony Romo is saying that Tony Romo was a better scrambler than Matt Ryan, because Tony Romo was mobile. He was like an Aaron Rodgers when it comes to being mobile. He can run outside of the pocket. He can run because he was a basketball player. So he can run out the pocket. He can throw the ball from different platforms and things of that nature. But Matt Ryan does the same stuff. Matt Ryan is mobile a little bit. He's not as mobile as Tony Romo was, but he's not as mistake prone as Tony Romo was either, and he was not as injury prone as Tony Romo. So to me, if you come to me with a Tony Romo debate, to me it's no debate. Tony Romo is not even in the same class as Matt Ryan. Nobody is even debating, is Tony Romo a Hall of Famer? You hear people already, and Matt Ryan's career isn't even over, and they're debating if he's a Hall of Famer or not. I haven't heard nobody in the media debating, is Tony Romo a Hall of Famer? Nobody. That should tell you right there that Tony Romo is not a Hall of Fame. He's not going to sniff the Hall of Fame. And he shouldn't sniff the Hall of Fame because he doesn't have any accolades. He didn't do anything to deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I continue to tell people, and especially these Dallas Cowboys fans, this is why Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp cannot stand you guys. And it's not, I can't say that I can't stand you guys, because my wife is a Cowboys fan. But I know a lot of Cowboys fans. All of the Cowboys fans that I know, for the most part, are level-headed. But some of the Cowboys fans that I know are just wearing rose-colored glasses. Those that think that Tony Romo was a great all-time great quarterback, you're wearing rose-colored glasses. If you think that Tony Romo is better than Matt Ryan, or if you think he's an all-time great quarterback, you're asleep. It's no way. You need to be drug tested. It's no way. Tony Romo is not a career. To be honest with you guys, and it's still a lot of time, the Pandora's box. I don't really want to open Pandora's box, but to be honest with you guys, Dak Prescott may end up having a better career than Tony Romo. Remember, I said that. He may end up having a better career. I'm not saying he's better than Tony Romo right now, so don't put words in my mouth, because he's not. But if he continues to go on a trajectory that he's going in right now, Dak Prescott continues to improve his game, he possibly will go down as the greatest Cowboy quarterback. If he can win some Super Bowls, he could surpass Troy Aikman, because the league that we're playing in now is easy. This year, they're already saying that Dak Prescott is on record to possibly throw for 5,000 career passing yards. That's historic if he does that, if he throws for 5,000 passing yards this season. So a lot of you guys that's so on riding Tony Romo and thinking Tony Romo is the best thing since sliced bread, I'm telling you, I come to bust your bubble. Tony Romo was not a great quarterback. He was just average. Matt Ryan is an all-time great quarterback. It's a reason that he's breaking all of these all-time records. And it's not just because he plays with great teammates. Because if you want to bring that up, I brought this up with my cousin. Tony Romo played with great receivers. T.O. He had great running backs. Marion Barber, Julius Jones. Who's the other guy that they had? DeMarco Murray. He's played with great players, man. Romo played with great players, so he has no excuse. He played with good players. He don't have any excuse to say he had good defenses. DeMarcus Ware, he had all kind of support, so it's no excuse. And he probably had decent offensive lines as well, because Dallas has always had a solid offensive line. So with me getting off of that, let me just get back on Matt Ryan. Like I was saying before, Tony Romo, if somebody brings Tony Romo up again talking about Matt Ryan, I'm going to laugh at you, because you need to be drug tested. There's no way that Tony Romo is even in the same stratosphere as Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan could easily go down as a top 3 to 5 passer all time. If he plays long enough, like if he plays as long as Drew Brees has played, he could end up #1 on the all-time passing list. Because right now, Matt Ryan is at 49,000, almost 50,000 passing yards. Right now, Drew Brees is at 75,000. So if Matt Ryan plays, Matt Ryan, I believe right now is 33 years old, if I'm not mistaken. If he plays to 40, because right now Drew Brees is 40. If Matt Ryan plays another good 5 to 6 seasons, he could easily surpass Drew Brees in all-time passing yards and touchdowns and all of that. So I feel like we need to let that debate of Tony Romo die. Tony Romo is definitely nowhere in the same stratosphere as Matt Ryan. But like I was saying before, Matt Ryan is definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame worthy. I wouldn't say that he's first ballot until his career is over. But who knows? Matt Ryan may win a couple Super Bowls before his career is over, because he has a team ready-made right now. Once we make a couple adjustments and add a couple more pieces, where they can go back to the Super Bowl and he can possibly win. But if you look at a lot of great quarterbacks, and like I was saying before, even the quarterbacks that have Super Bowls, like if you look at the all-time greats right now that's in the league, Aaron Rodgers, he has one Super Bowl appearance, one Super Bowl ring, and they say he's probably the best thrower of the football all time, because it takes a team. Green Bay has never had a solid defense. This year is the first year that Green Bay's defense is somewhat solid. In the year that they went to the Super Bowl, they actually had a solid defense. But for the most part, Green Bay never has a solid defense. If you look at any of the great quarterbacks that's playing in the league right now, the only player that really has multiple rings is Tom Brady. And that's why they call him the GOAT right now, because he's the only one that's playing right now in this generation that has multiple rings. Drew Brees has 1 ring. He has only 1 Super Bowl appearance. If you look at anybody, even if you want to take it back, Peyton Manning, for years and years and years, he could never get past Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, and he was arguably better than Tom Brady. If you take Tom Brady off of the Patriots and you put Peyton Manning on the Patriots, you think they won't have just as many rings as Tom Brady had? Come on. They probably will possibly have more rings with Peyton Manning running the offense for New England. And you switch them up and you put Tom Brady on the Colts. Do you think the Colts would have got any rings? Maybe one, maybe. But it would have been hard because I don't see Peyton Manning and Bill Belichick losing to Tom Brady and Tony Dungy. I don't see it. So, like I said, it's easy to throw. You know, I don't like throwing rings when it comes to a player who's better. But what I can throw in is individual accolades. NFL MVP is an individual accolade. That's not an accolade where you can say, well, the team got this person that. No. You have to be a great player individually to win an MVP of the league. Like Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's a great player. In order for him to win Defensive Player of the Year, has nothing to do with his teammates. He's the best defensive player in that particular season. It's the same thing with Matt Ryan. He was the best player in 2016. Has nothing to do with Kyle Shanahan. Has nothing to do with Julio Jones or any of those other guys on the team. Yeah, they may have caught passes and things of that nature, but Matt Ryan can throw that ball to anybody. Anybody, and they will still make him look good. Matt Ryan proved it the year that Julio Jones got hurt. Harry Douglas had never been a 1,000-yard receiver, and he was our third string or our third option wide receiver at the time, and he ended up catching for 1,000 yards that season that Julio, I think he broke his foot. So that's what goes to show you. It don't matter who you throw out there with Matt Ryan. He's going to get completions. He's going to get yards because he knows how to read defenses. He makes smart decisions with the football. He's not a turnover machine like a lot of these quarterbacks are. And that's the difference. So if you ask me, I feel like Matt Ryan is definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback. Even if he never wins a Super Bowl, even if he never makes another Super Bowl appearance, he will be up there with the all-time greats. When it's all said and done, if he plays out the remainder of this contract, which I think is like 4 years left on his contract, that'll put him at like 37 or up there in his upper 30s. If he continues on the trajectory that he's going, he continues piling up the stats, knock on wood, no injuries and things of that nature, he's definitely going to be all-time 3 to 5 in passing yards and touchdown passes, which is a great accomplishment. And like I said, Matt Ryan is slept on a lot. I continue to tell people, if you put Matt Ryan on the Cowboys, if you put Matt Ryan on the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you put Matt Ryan on the New York Giants when they actually had a defense like the Eli Manning New York Giants, or if you put Matt Ryan on that team with the Ravens that Joe Flacco had, I'm telling you, Matt Ryan would have had probably multiple Super Bowls with that team that Joe Flacco was playing with Ray Lewis, because Matt Ryan is a great pocket passer. He's an all-time great quarterback. The only reason that Joe Flacco only won 1 Super Bowl is because he's an average or to below average quarterback. To me, Joe Flacco is a below average quarterback. He just has a ring, but he's below average. Eli Manning was just an average quarterback. To me, you can possibly put Eli Manning and Tony Romo on the same playing field pretty much. If you want to ask me where I rank Eli and where I rank Romo, Eli Manning and Romo are pretty much in the same category. The only thing that I can say about Eli, if somebody asks me who would I take as a quarterback, Romo or Eli, I possibly would take Eli. And the reason I possibly would take Eli is because Eli, in the clutch moments, made plays. If you go back to that Super Bowl where he heaved that ball up there and that guy caught it and pinned it to his helmet, I don't care what you say. Some may say it was a lucky catch or a lucky throw. I seen Eli Manning make key touchdown passes against the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady 2 times in a row. And that's the reason that Deion Sanders always be singing, "I believe in Eli." The reason he said that all the time is because in the clutch moments, Eli Manning is not the best quarterback. He's just an average quarterback. But it seems like in the big moments, he plays above average. In that NFC Championship game against Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers on their second run to the Super Bowl, Eli Manning looked good. He won the game on the road in San Francisco in the Super Bowl. In both of those Super Bowls, he made the plays that needed to be made in the crunch moments, in the clutch time, in the crunch time. And if you can make elite throws and you can make plays when the game is on the line, and basically you do it with like no post, because one thing that's always scared me about Eli Manning, I've never been an Eli Manning fan, but one thing that I can respect about Eli Manning is he always has the same demeanor. He's always has that blank look on his face where you don't know what he's going to do. And most of the time, when Eli Manning was playing in the playoffs with the Giants, when they went on their 2 Super Bowl runs, he balled out. And he has that killer mentality where he always has that blank look on his face, like he's never rattled. He just goes out there and gets the job done. So I got respect for that, man. On the other hand, players like Tony Romo and players like that just has stats, but they really never won anything, and they made crucial mistakes in crunch time. Those are the type of issues that I have. It's a reason why they call Matt Ryan Matty Ice. The reason he has a nickname. It's a reason, because he brings his team back in the crunch moments. In the crunch time, Matt Ryan has made clutch throws time after time to win games. I can't say the same thing about Romo. I've seen Romo make the most crucial mistakes in the biggest moments. He makes the most boneheaded plays. And those are the type of players where you have to, when I talk about the eye test, you can look at stats all day, but when the game comes down to the wire, and this is what Stephen A. Smith always talks about. He talks about, does a player fold in a time of pressure, or do they do what they always do? Meaning, if you're a quarterback that throws for 300 yards and you don't throw picks and things of that nature, when it's time in the crunch time, I need you to put up them 300 yards without interceptions or without turnovers. You can't just be, well, I'm good in the regular season games, but then when it comes down to the crunch, when we're in the playoffs, or when we're in a regular season game, but it's down to the crunch time, you throw picks. That will follow you. So, like I said, man, y'all tell me what y'all think about the video, man. But personally, I think Matt Ryan is definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback. I definitely feel like he's lived up to that 3rd round pick that the Falcons gave up in the 1st round for him. I definitely feel like he's been worth it. I felt like he's lived up to the hype. He's gotten us to an NFC Championship game in his career. He's got us to a Super Bowl and almost won it in the overtime. We lost it. But he got us in both of those championship games. He got us the lead, and the defense didn't hold on. He got us in the lead in 2012 in that NFC Championship game where we lost, and he got us a 28-3 lead against the Patriots. So we just didn't finish, but you can't put that on Matt Ryan. I don't put that on Matt Ryan. I put that on coaching. You got to look at every game and address every game the same. You got to look at, okay, what was the scenario? That's why I keep trying to tell people, what was the scenario? It's different if we were in the Super Bowl and Matt Ryan threw a pick on the final drive where we were driving to try to go down the score. Then he would be known as a choke artist, which I call Tony Romo a choke artist, because when it came down to crucial moments in his career, he made terrible passes. He most of the time threw interceptions. And when it comes down to the crunch time for Matt Ryan, they call him Matty Ice because most of the time he comes through. I haven't seen Matt Ryan in a crunch close moment or in the clutch throw an interception. In the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan did what Matt Ryan did that whole playoff run. He balled out and almost threw for 300 yards, no picks, 2 touchdowns. In the division round against Seattle, he balled in the playoffs, and in the NFC Championship game in 2016 against the Green Bay Packers, he balled. So that's what I'm talking about. Those are the type of the things that I judge quarterbacks by. So right now, if you want to ask me, Jew, who is your top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now? I probably would say Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Patrick Mahomes, and this is not in no particular order, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Let's see who else is out there. Let's see. Carson Wentz. I think I got like 2 more names I could throw out there. I can't think of everybody right now, but those are the guys off top that I know. Ben Roethlisberger when he's healthy. Let's see. Those are pretty much the top 10 guys right there. Y'all didn't hear me say Dak Prescott, because to me, Dak Prescott still has more to prove. Dak Prescott is in the teens somewhere. 12, 13, 14. He's in the middle of the pack somewhere. But I know I probably missed some crucial guys. But the top 5 guys right now, and Lamar Jackson has to be somewhere near somewhere near 10, 11, because he's been balling out too. But my top 5, you say, Drew, give me a top 5 quarterbacks right now. I'll say top 5 probably would be Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, I still want to see more out of him. So he's kind of honorable mention, but he's playing good right now. Deshaun Watson has to be on that list. And somewhere on that list. And Matt Ryan has to be somewhere near. He's somewhere between 1 and 10. That's all you need to know. Matt Ryan is somewhere between 1 and 10. And he possibly could be in that top 7 range. Because Matt Ryan is right up there. And what I judge players by, like I continue to tell you guys, what I judge players by is consistency. Do you consistently win? Do you consistently do what you do? Meaning, do you consistently throw for 300 yards without throwing a bunch of picks? Do you consistently, like I said, ball without causing turnovers? Meaning, without fumbling the ball? Do you consistently give your team a chance to win week after week after week, year after year after year? It's a reason that Matt Ryan has he's gotten $200 million contracts. And it's a reason why a guy like Joe Flacco is now a journeyman. Now he's playing for the Broncos on like a minimum deal. It's a reason why that's going on. The reason it's going on is because they're not as good as a Matt Ryan. They're not franchise quarterbacks. Your boy is not a franchise quarterback. Joe Flacco is not a franchise quarterback. He proved that when the Ravens gave him that money and he didn't ball out. And that's why Lamar Jackson took his job. And Matt Ryan, I see Matt Ryan playing as long as he wants to play because he's that quality of a player. And he keeps himself in tip-top shape. And he is above the neck type of quarterback, meaning he's very cerebral. And he'll be just like a Drew Brees or a Tom Brady when it comes down to it. He's going to be able to play in this league because he knows how to read defenses. He knows where to go with the ball before the pressure can get to him. He's going to take care of himself by getting rid of the ball early. And he does a great job of watching tape. He doesn't just rely on his athletic ability. But with that being said, man, this has been your boy Jew. I've been on here almost an hour. So this is why I feel like Matt Ryan definitely deserves the Hall of Fame. Y'all definitely tell me in the comment section what y'all think, if Matt Ryan should be a Hall of Famer or not. But as always, this has been your boy Jew. Please support the page. Please like, share, subscribe. I have a video later on in the week for you guys. We're going to break down the pregame show for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this Sunday in Atlanta. We're back at home in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so we'll be ready to rock and roll. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. All right, man, I'll holler at y'all in the next video. But never disrespect Matty Ice again. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. All right, peace.